So now things start going bad, and the reactor core is critical, and Samus has to get the heck out. Again, Super Metroid fans are going to fondly remember that this sequence is rather reminiscent of the way Super Metroid started off, with kind of a daring escape. So there's a countdown, and sure enough, if the timer runs out, it's going to be game over. So Samus has to hightail it on out of here. Here's where Samus meets up with her old friend Ridley from the very first Metroid game, and from every Metroid game, in fact. Ridley is a bit of a surprise to see here, and he actually escapes, but not before he kind of deals his last bit of injury to Samus, and we made it out alive at least, but this base has definitely seen better days. There goes old Ridley, but we'll probably be seeing him again. In fact, we're going to chase after him to that there planet, which is Talon 4, and that's where the rest of the game takes place. Basically, Samus speeds off after Ridley, and she's going to have to land on this planet and get back her old abilities, find wherever the heck Ridley is gone, and find what these space pirates are up to. It's another reference to Super Metroid that Samus kind of lands in this rain-soaked overworld area. Actually, a lot of Metroid Prime does take place in these kind of more outdoorsy environments. There's about an equal mix of wide open and kind of tight and claustrophobic areas. And again, the really great thing about Metroid Prime is that it's this very open-ended feeling game where you basically exit your ship at this point and you're off. You're off to explore this world. It's a huge area. It's all interconnected, and you could go basically wherever you think you should. As you can see, there are a lot of doors. You could get to some of them from the get-go, and some of them you can't. You check out the map, and there isn't a whole lot to see at this point. And, immediately you could see a lot of the really great details in Metroid Prime, like how rain is beating up on Samus's visor. You could look up in the sky, and rain will kind of plunk down on her helmet. There's a good amount of replay value to the game. Finishing it once unlocks a harder difficulty mode where enemies deal much more damage and are more plentiful in some cases. There are also a lot of hidden items and stuff to find beyond what's necessary to actually finish the game. Here we're loading up a saved game where we've unlocked absolutely everything. We've got all of Samus's abilities here. We're still in the Talon overworld, but we could pretty much roam freely through this environment and go anywhere we want to go and check out all of Samus's different abilities and really make mincemeat of most of the remaining enemies on this planet. Here's what the entire map of the game looks like. Each of these areas you can zoom in on and is this kind of densely detailed multi-story area. So again, yeah, the map is pretty darn scary looking, but it's indicative of all that there is to see and to explore in this great big game. We're going to take a look at some of Samus's alternate means of attack and defense here. She's got her regular power beam that she started off the game with. She's also got 3 other standard weapons, each of which has a different attack when you charge it up, and each of which has a super attack when you combine it with Samus's missiles. So she's also got the wave beam, which discharges electrical particles. It's got like a limited homing ability and kind of a wider spread than the power beam. It's also used to charge up certain outlets that are out of power. Since it's electrical in nature, it can be used to supply power and solve certain puzzles that way. Here we're going to transition to a different area. Much like in the previous Metroid games, we see Samus kind of riding an elevator and looking around as she goes to like a radically different area of the map. Now we're in the Chozo ruins, which is kind of this ancient, long kind of destroyed civilization that actually created Samus's suit. She's also got the ice beam. You could see her weapon kind of frost over when she equips it. The ice beam, much like you'd expect, has the nice effect of freezing her foes. Finally, we've got the plasma beam, which shoots these like scorching beams of energy, and it's probably the most powerful beam weapon. This weapon just incinerates foes outright. Samus also has different visors besides the scan visor and the combat visor, which is her default view. She's got the thermal visor, and the thermal visor is mostly self-explanatory. Here she could kind of really clearly see her enemies in the darkness. She can't easily see her environment anymore, but she could pick out enemies, especially ones that might be concealed in darkness or invisible altogether. So that helps, and it's also useful for identifying certain sources of energy that she might need and hidden objects and things like that. Samus also has the X-ray visor, which makes everything look like an X-ray. You could even see her hand in her beam weapon there. This isn't immediately obvious what it does, but again, certain enemies will be concealed even to your thermal vision, and certain platforms will be hidden from sight, and you'll only be able to see them if you switch to your X-ray visor. There's some pretty tough bosses in Metroid Prime. They're much more difficult than that first Parasite Queen boss. They might take you a few tries, and really the key is to scan the enemies and to find out what their weaknesses are, and then try to exploit those weaknesses with whatever powers you have available. It's often very helpful to use your charged up super attack and use your missiles, things like that. However you can deal the most damage, that's really what you have to do, and repeat until you've succeeded. In Samus's inventory, we can check on the status of all her different weapons and kind of read about their functions and things like that. Read about the different visors. She's also got a logbook. She's got data on all the different kind of pirate logs that she's discovered, data on all the creatures that she's seen, and little X-ray pictures of them. So knowing what you're up against is very important in this game. So really, Metroid Prime is just a very unique and enjoyable and entertaining experience for the GameCube. This game isn't available for any other system and never will be, since it's a Nintendo exclusive. Really it's one of the finest games that is and probably ever will be available for the GameCube, because it just comes together so well and has such a cohesive look and style to it. It's really just an incredible first effort from these developers, and represents some of the finest talent that game designers have to date. It's just a game that has really something for just about anyone. It's not a pure action game. You don't need the reflexes of an expert yo-yo player or something to be able to finish this game. You just really need to use your head and look around and evaluate your situation, look through your surroundings, and really, since the game is so good looking, Since there's so much to explore, you'll really enjoy just about every minute of your experience with Metroid Prime. So hopefully we've given you a taste of what there is to see in this game, and but let's not spoil any more for you. You should really go and check this game out for yourself if you haven't already.